How you going, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Welcome back to the T-45 and welcome back to the landing tutorial. We're just setting up out here to come in on a approach into Nellis. Now, we're not going to go too much into it, as I'll do another tutorial on it 4 years later. We're approaching Nellis on a 130 radial we're looking for 13 nautical miles. We're at 20. We want to be at about 14,000 feet, which we're at 13,300 or below. So 103, 105. So what we're going to be doing once we get about 13 nautical miles, we want to stay out around that 13 nautical miles. And we're going to actually turn to our left over here to these mountains. They've got trees on them, so it's pretty easy. So we're going to actually turn right now, maintaining the 350 knots that we've just accumulated here. Just descended to. So keep 350, 300, however slow you want to do it, and slowly descend for 8,000 feet because we're obviously going over these mountains here. I want to kind of arch around, staying close to the tack down, no more than 13 nautical miles. We're at 14 there, so we'll stay to the left of these mountains here, descending for 8,000 and holding it there. So for this, we're going to be going through the charts in a later tutorial, but for this we want to be looking for these mountains here with the trees on them, and then we want to be looking for those mountains with that little tiny one over there, and that's where we're going to kind of go between that mountain and the other mountains there at around about 6,000 feet. So I'll keep descending at 3 degrees, slowing the aircraft down. Descended around 3 degrees, pitch down. So we're at about 13 nautical miles now from the tack in. We're going to change the course now to our course of the runway, which is 210. Change that there, and we can also change our heading for 210 as well. Alright, so we'll continue on down, slow the aircraft up. So we're right on our 13 nautical mile threshold, so we'll just keep flying in this direction. We'll probably creep in by a couple of nautical miles. We want to try and stay in just on these mountains here. As you can see, we're starting to pull away, which is great. I like taking a little bit more of a bigger chunk because we are going to be creeping around. Now, to creep around, over here there is a road that you can follow over to that town. So there's a road, so you can stay to the left of that road and then follow the other road in and around to the airfield. Now again, I'll do a complete total tutorial on charts because not a lot of people actually use charts in DCS. Now I like using them because it kind of gives you the feel of a lot more immersion to the airfields that you come into. And I've done a lot of work on Nellis, learning charts of taking off and coming in. So we're flying over the top of this mountain here. You can cut in a bit earlier if you want. I like flying over the top around 6,000, 7,000. I want to be about 4,000-ish, 5,000-ish when we get to that town over there. So I'll descend a little bit more rapidly here to line up for our runway. So we know what the direction of the runway is, so we're almost 90 degrees to it. Now if you wanted to, you can continue going over these mountains, but I like coming in a little bit quicker. And there we're lining up for this town, along with that road and railway that takes us all the way back into Nellis. So we'll be following that all the way in, just flying directly over it, bringing it down to 5,000 feet, watching the radial now. So we want to be at 2,500. As we're making our descent into Nellis. Now we're going to be taking the runway on the left, so 21 left. 21 left has the ILS, which is not in this aircraft, I don't believe. So don't worry about that, but the ILS will work on other aircraft that you can use in the future. So we'll set up for the runway. As you can see, we're following in this road here. We're at 2,500. We'll creep down to 1,500 and take the overhead brake. Now, because of the mountains to the left of the airfield, we want to try and take the overhead brake in between both runways and descending for 1,500. Now, you can slow right down to 300 if you want in this aircraft because it's a small enough aircraft, or you can just keep it at the 350 like the Hornets do. So I'll just keep it around at 350, 360. We'll bring it on down, and we're going to bring the aircraft down to 1,500 radial, or radar. You can see there on the HUD. Once we do the overhead brake, speed brakes out. Brake will dirty the aircraft, flaps down, gear down at 250. And we want to be lining up with that town there, pretty much directly over it, or just to the right of the town as we're coming around for our landing on 2-1 left. We'll just increase the speed and it dropped a little bit below, that's okay. Plus or minus 100 if you can. Trim out the aircraft. Now for the faster jets, you might want to yank this stick around real quick, like the Hornets or the 16s, when you're doing the overhead brake to the left runway. Alright, so there's the tower there. Let's overhead brake now. Throttle back. Now this aircraft will keep these speed brakes out until the end of the landing. Speed brakes out, keeping that altitude as best we can. Dirty the flaps, flaps out. Landing gear down, flaps down to full. Immediately start trimming the aircraft for 1,500 feet. Or 1,400 if you can. Try not to drop it too much. Looking at the runway, and we want to place our aircraft over the top of town ahead of us. So for those that want to do overhead brakes and circuits, you just want to kind of practice as best you can and get visual cues of where you want your aircraft to be so you can line up for your runways and all that sort of stuff. So for me, I want my aircraft to be over the top of this airfield, over the top of this little town, sorry, airfield, my bad, before I start making my turn. Now that should be more than enough for this aircraft to turn, 45 degrees from the threshold there. So we're just passing the threshold, my wing is just in line with it there. That is our touchdown point. Alright, we're going to slowly bring us down now, using the throttle to bring us slowly down and retrim that aircraft. Making sure we got 3 green full and flat spoilers are full. Now we're just going to slowly turn in and start descending at 1,000 feet over the top of that town, and keep that descent coming down through to 700 in the turn. Try and make sure you maintain the AOA. There's 800. There's 800. And it looks like we're going to line up perfectly. We're going to shallow out the turn now. Alright, nice and easy, down 3 degrees. Speed up just a tad, shallow out the descent, And touchdown. Nice there. Maintain center line. The aircraft's going to want to go back and forth. Once you get control of the aircraft, pull the stick back slowly to get the elevators up there to help with the speed. Once the aircraft is somewhat stable, both brakes on at the same time so you don't do donuts, and there we go. Once the aircraft is under control, speed brakes in, flaps up. And there we go. Taxi lights are still on, which is great. And we'll go in and shut down. And that'll be the second ground crew ground lesson that we've done. Ground school. So thank you for watching for all of that now. So yeah, we'll head on in and we'll start cleaning up the aircraft, not dirtying up. Cleaning up the aircraft before finishing up. So we don't need any extra radios, so radios can go off. We can turn the IFF off now if it was working. That's not working in this aircraft. Does work in the MSFS one, doesn't work on this one. Maybe coming in a later patch. We can go ahead and turn off the TAC can now, and we can also turn off the BOR. Once those are done, we can turn off the second MFD. Don't need that. We can probably turn off the HUD now. Don't need the HUD. I also have the brightness knob for when you're landing on the carrier. You want to dim everything. Apart from that, we can go to any collision light now, get rid of the strobe. The aircraft's nice and clean, and we'll just taxi on in to the airfield. Taking any data that you want, GPS data or anything that you need to calculate over for your next flight. As you can see, there's all different data for all the different airfields out in the different pages here too. That's all cool. So different data, different waypoints. So you can select different waypoints for different things, which is great. Lat and long, you can do your own elevation. All of that stuff will work on in the future. And that is the actual aircraft's GPS there. You got the HUD, HSI, training. So for training, I can go ahead and turn TAC can off. Different things. So just having a look here. If I wanted to turn something off. Where was it? I can't remember where it was. Training. There's something here. And it like freezes something. So if I was in the back seat and I wanted to turn something off on you, I could do that. Alright, we'll mosey on down past these the 16s here and head into our area. So we'll turn him off. We'll have a look at our data. We'll chuck in our engines. Normally you'd go either at the back and come right down the back, or you can go down and turn right around and come back this way. This way you can just get around behind everyone that's taxiing and you're not in their way. And we'll go and pull up next to the other grey aircraft and shut the aircraft down. Now, we're pretty much no longer talking to the tower now, so we can go ahead and turn off the other radio. Everything else is off. Taxi light can come off, so we don't blind everyone that's walking around here. We've got our anti-collision light on. We've got our navigation lights. Turn our tail off and our wing off. And here's the other aircraft all lined up. 107. Now 106, I think that is. 105, and we're 104. 104, training wing 1. A, B, and F, and there's also a B grey, and then we're the A grey. Training wing 1, that's training wing 2. Alright, taking the last bit of data, we can turn that off now. No problem there. Alright, turn that off. Open up the canopy. That's and last but not least, the batteries and the generator. So that is the landing, and that was just a quick shutdown, which is pretty easy. So thank you for watching, guys, and I hope to see you in the next one. See you later.